Make sure that you're doing this practice on your own and then double checking the work through the videos. So here we're going to use bed math to do this, and with some of these we have fractions as well. So bed math says that we do the most powerful operation first, which is exponents. Then we do it brackets first, whatever's inside the brackets, and then we do the exponent times divide and then add subtract last. So we want to make sure we show our steps. So we have 2. We do the exponent inside the brackets first, and everything that does not get done, make sure that you keep track of every piece as we go down. I'm going to do the times before I do the add, so I'm going to do this 1 times 7 and then keep track of it. And I can see vertically all my calculations. 1 times 7 equals 7, so it's like the equals are going up and down. We could distribute, but there's no need to distribute because we can do the brackets first. And then we do the multiplication. Make sure you keep track of your negatives. Not a bad idea to put negatives in brackets. Again, notice how I keep track of everything. I'm not just putting it in when I need it. I need to make sure I show every part in every line. So -2 plus 7 is equal to 5. Here we're going to do the brackets first, so I need a common denominator. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure I keep track of all my parts. I'm not going to use my common denominator. I need a times 4 times 4. I need a times 3 times 3. That makes my denominator 12. So inside here, I'm going to end up with 8/12. That's the same as 2/3. 3/12, that's the same as 1/4. And then I'm going to add those fractions. Again, make sure you keep track of all the pieces that are not being used. Now I have top times top, bottom times bottom, and so there's my final answer. This really is the same problem as B. C is same as B because we're really going to do the subtraction first, then we'll do the multiplication last. So again, I'm going to keep track of this multiplication that I'm not going to use. I have a times 3 on top, times 3 on bottom. Make sure that you are showing your common denominators when you are showing your work. So I have 3/6 minus 1/6. This leaves me with 2 out of 6. This is all just times and divide. So when there's a times fractions, really everything on top is a multiplication, everything on the bottom is a division. I can cancel out my times and divide here. And when I'm cancel times and divide, I'm left with 1. So I end up with 1 times 1, 6 times 1. So there's my final answer. For this one here, I have to decide what's going to happen first. Well, the brackets happen first. I need to do this times before this minus. So that 1/3 does not get touched. So I need to make sure I write it down. Plus, I need a common denominator. I have times 4 here, top and bottom, times 3 on the top and bottom. That gives me 4/12 plus 3/12. And then make sure you keep track of your operations. Minus top times top, bottom times bottom. Now all I'm doing is adding fractions. Really, this bracket's really not doing a whole lot. It just means that, I've got to get a common denominator here anyways. So I'm going to get a common denominator here, times 4 times 4. So I end up with 4/12. Plus, I'm going to add these together, I get 7/12, and then minus my 1/12. I'm now talking the same language for all these fractions. 4 are the same size piece, 7 are the same size piece, 1 are the same size piece. So I'm going to add 4 plus 7 and take away 1. I end up with 10/12. 10 1/12 pieces. Again, we do not add or subtract denominators because the denominators tells us how big the pieces are. And when we add and subtract, we don't change the size of the pieces. This can be simplified. I need to divide the top and bottom by 2, and that's going to give me 5, 6. Here we're going to do the exponent first, so again I'm going to keep track of the outside. I'm going to do the exponent. When I square a fraction, I square the bottom and top. I need to get a common denominator to add and subtract. So 9/9 minus 4/9. I get 5 out of 9. This is all now multiplication, so it's just times on top, divide on bottom. So top times top, bottom times bottom gives me 5/18. This one, remember that powers and pluses don't get along, so if I'm going to do this, I have to do the inside first. And BEDMAS tells me to do that anyways. So I have to get a common denominator of 4/4 plus 1 out of 4. Make sure you complete that before you do any squaring in here. 1/3 plus 5 out of 4 squared. And notice again that I'm keeping that 1/3 all the way through because nothing's happening to that 1/3 yet. So I get 25 out of 16. These do not share common factors, so I need a times 16 here. And then I need a times 3 here and here to get the common denominator. So I end up with 16 out of 48. So there's my common denominator. This is 75 out of 48. When I add them together, I only add the numerators. 16 plus 75 is 91 out of 48. We should try to find a common factor to divide here, but 91 happens to be a prime number, so we can't. Sorry, 91 is not prime. 91 has a factor of, looks like 91 is divisible by 7, so this is not going to divide nicely. 7 times 13. There's no common factors as shared in the top and bottom.